Hey guys, welcome back. Recently, Doodlebug, our local airsoft and paintball store, started carrying a lot of cool airsoft guns, BBs, batteries, and a number of other cool things. So Brian, one of the teammates with NBR, a team I play with, actually decided to pick up a kind of a platform gun for his HPA system. This is the Valken battle machine. This is the Mod M DST. So it's got kind of the Mark 18 look. It's got the polymer rail body, and it's kind of a budget gun. They run sub $200, so they are a lot more affordable. There are versions that come with the battery and charger, but this one was just the gun, the magazine, and a couple of other random little extras that, of course, we'll talk about in a second here. But this is more of a budget gun. I wanted to actually check this out. He loaned it to me for the weekend, so I'm going to be checking this out and shooting it a little bit and taking it apart and see what all is inside of it. Now, to my knowledge, a lot of this gun is OEM'd by SRC, so the internals are at least decent. Like I said, being under $200, it is a budget gun. So, polymer, very light, little bit of creak in the handguard, not terrible. The body is actually pretty solid, no flex there. You do get a lot of metal parts on here, which is really nice. So it's not like a cheaper like D-Boys plastic gun or something like that. The outer barrel is metal, the buffer tube is metal, even the dust cover is metal, which is kind of nice. Handful of metal parts there, so a little bit of added value there. As far as what it comes with, you do get a 300 round polymer tan high cap. Works well enough. My only complaint with this was it doesn't always seat super well in the mag well. Actually, when I took it off the wall and checked it out in the store, the magazine just fell out, and you can kind of see it doesn't seat very easily. I found other magazines actually seat even better than this one, so I think it's just a matter of tolerance, being a less expensive gun. And recently, since California kind of changed the laws over, they do require at least 3 portions of the gun to be covered with a neon color. They actually spell that out in this little pamphlet here. It talks about that, but since I'm in Washington, I don't have to worry about that, thankfully. And it's also going to come with a little manual here. It's actually pretty decent, a lot of good pictures in there to get you guys kind of oriented with a gun and know how to set your magazine and your battery up and everything like that. It's not Chinglish, it's actually good English, so I was kind of happy about that. You do get a little pack of roughly 100 BBs. Throw these out. These are trash. Of course, you get a cleaning rod, which is what you get with about 99% of guns. I've got a ton laying around, but even getting an extra one is always a good thing. Usually they fit the barrel length, so that's always a plus there as well. And with California law, Valken actually includes a little roll of kind of fabric-y orange tape, which I guess is good for you guys in California. That's make sure you guys are following the law there. In Washington, I really don't need it. And although this actually came in the stock already, I'm going to talk about this now. This is a Mini Tamiya fuse extension. So this already came in the stock. I just took it off. It's got a Mini Tamiya connector on either end and a fuse here. So if you want to remove the fuse, you don't have to bypass it or cut it off or splice anything. You just unhook a connector. Now let's go ahead and check out the outside of the gun. We're going to be looking at the stock first and kind of moving our way up from there. After that, we're going to open the gun up and look at the internals. I think the stock is actually probably my favorite part of the gun. It's Valken's take on a crane stock. It's a little bit different though. You've kind of got enough room here to hold it if you want to as a handhold, or you can hit the button and retract it or push it inward as needed. Pushing on 2 tabs on either side here removes the back plate. It's just a plastic cover here. And if you push your stock in a little, you'll have your Mini Tamiya connector here. There's plenty of room in here, as you can see, to fit a 9.6 nunchuck or any kind of stick LiPo that you want to. The buffer tube is metal, so it's kind of a nice touch, but the little sling loop here is actually plastic. I really wish that were metal because it's flexible, and I feel like if I put a little bit too much stress on it, it might break. The gun does come included with a Tango Down style pistol grip. I actually really like these. I find them very comfortable, and this one is no exception. The kind of the stippling feel on it is nice, and it's got a good texture to it. The front and rear sights are both polymer, and I'll get to the front sight in just a second. They're not exactly locking in place, or they're not spring-loaded with little bearings or anything to keep them there. They are flip up and down though, thankfully. They're pretty solid actually. This one, the rear one, is only adjustable for windage, and the front one will be adjustable for elevation. They can easily be taken off here with an Allen key if you want to. And the front sight here, flip up and down. This one's a little bit more loose, I think. It still works really well though, and adjustable for elevation. Selector switch is actually kind of nice, even though, you know, you guys are all familiar with M4s, right? Good positive selection here. Clicks in place, and it's actually really stiff in place. I do like that a lot. And of course, if you pull the charging handle, the metal dust cover will open, pulling back a fake bolt. You do get a metal hop up in there, which is something we'll touch a little more on in the internal portion of this video. Now, although the rail system is actually kind of nice, there are a couple of things I do want to touch on it that I'm not particularly a fan of. It is a nice length rail. I do kind of like this mid-length of a rail, but the panels here are actually held on by Phillips screws, and you can easily take that off, and it kind of looks ugly if you remove those. Now, the look of this gun also kind of reminds me of a 416. The rail especially, with the pin here you can remove and just have the whole thing slide off. I do actually like the piston style gas block that's up here, something a little different. Unfortunately, there is no fake gas tube or piston behind it, so that kind of takes away from the realism. But again, it is a budget gun, so I guess I can't expect a whole lot. You do get the metal sling loop here. There is a little bit of rust on it, so I have to assume that probably came from coming across the boat from Taiwan. Lastly, the gun does have a orange plastic flash hider glued onto the tip, but underneath it there are 14mm negative threads, so if you do want to throw a different flash hider or a suppressor on there, it's not too difficult to do. Before we move on to the internal portion of the gun, I did want to touch on a couple of aesthetic things on the body. They're not life or death by any means, but as you'll notice a little bit, the body and the lower and upper receivers don't line up perfectly. The lower is flared out a little bit. The gun still works just fine. It's just an aesthetic thing. Last thing I want to touch on the body, you can see the seam marks pretty well on top of the rail here, and it's something to be expected to some extent with budget guns, but it's something you're probably going to notice. Alright, the externals are actually decent. They're not the best thing in the world, but for a budget gun, they're really not that bad. Next we're going to be moving on to the internals, the gearbox, the motor, the barrel, and the hop-up, and then we're going to wrap it up after that. Now the hop-up chamber is metal, and it actually looks like it's not really that bad. I did the air seal test by pushing a BB through the bucking, and it's a really on the edge of being cruddy air seal. It's not bad. I might think about actually swapping out the bucking in this because it's almost too loose. It might be almost like the BB is so close to like not sealing well with the bucking. It's something I'll have to check out more as I shoot the gun and kind of judge how well it works. The barrel doesn't look like it's half bad though. It is anodized aluminum. It is a little bit heavier, and it looks pretty decent. I looked at the inside and the bore looks alright. There is no crowning on the end. It just looks like a straight cut though. Something a little distressing I would like to point out though is that the hop-up right now is actually turned all the way on, and if you can see, there is no nub that's being formed at the top of the bucking there. So either there is no nub in there, which I'm going to open up and check out right now, or it's just not thick enough or hard enough to push down the bucking and give any hop. So if you can see this pretty well, this is the hop-up arm that pushes down on the bucking. And there actually is no nub. It's a plastic piece that is part of the arm itself, which I can't say I'm a fan of this design. And it obviously doesn't put enough push on the bucking to actually put any hop on the BB. So what I'm going to be doing is actually swapping this out for a different arm and actually putting a real nub in there, so we'll actually get some hop-up out of this gun. Now the motor I'm actually quite a bit more satisfied with than the bucking. It doesn't have any markings on it, but it actually has an O-hole pinion, which you can see there, and it has a reasonable amount of torque. I was actually really happy with that. Now, something else I didn't like about how this gun is designed is that the wiring actually goes through a small hole here in the back of the body, and to actually remove this wiring, you either have to cut a little bit out here, which I'd rather not do because it's kind of a tricky space to cut, or you actually have to remove the Tamiya connector. Now, I'm going to be doing that anyway. I just wish Valken had designed this a little bit better. After opening up the gearbox, I'm actually pleasantly surprised by a lot of the internals I found in here. Obviously, it is rebranded SRC stuff. I'm sure they OEM'd a lot of this, if not all the gun. But it looks like one of their more recent gearboxes as far as the parts that are in it. One of their, if I'm not mistaken, Gen 3 gearboxes probably, where it's got a lot of upgraded parts in it. So I'm going to go ahead and start pulling stuff out of here and kind of talk about it as we go. Now it does have a metal spring guide here, and it does have a hole all the way through it. That is super convenient for me. That makes it a lot easier to reinstall the spring and get it out for that matter. And the spring is a completely linear spring. There are no portions of it that are tighter. It's roughly, I'd probably say it's like an M100 spring, maybe like an M95, somewhere around there. It's not super powerful by any means, It's definitely more of a close quarters power spring. The piston here, second to last tooth is not removed. It's a green SRC piston, as you can tell. It's not a bearing piston head, and it's got one metal tooth, which is kind of a standard thing. I actually did some reading online before Brian picked this gun up, and apparently some websites actually said this piston was a 7 metal tooth piston, which is clearly not the case, which is kind of disappointing. The air seal on these is pretty good. Not the best in the world, not perfect, but good. The nozzle has an O-ring in there, which is a plus. Tappet plate, really nothing special. Type 0 cylinder, so no ports or anything. It's very greasy, which is kind of unusual. Aluminum cylinder head with 2 O-rings, which is nice, very plussy. Rubber damper, nothing special. Seals in the cylinder okay. It would definitely be better off by having some Teflon tape there just to make sure. Overall, not bad. Now, as far as the shimming goes, you can just tell right away. It's okay as far as the gear heights go. As far the height between the gears is fine, but they need to be tightened down quite a bit. If I were the tech who shimmed this at Valken, I would be pretty ashamed of myself. Now, the gears are actually pretty good quality steel. I'm happy with these. Like I said, they do need to be shimmed a little bit better. The height between the gears is fine, but the play between the bushings is really awful. As far as bushings go, these are actually really nice, really good stainless steel 6mm bushings, which I'm pretty happy with. I'm probably going to reshim this gun a little bit before I reassemble it, so having metal bushings on there already is a plus. And the trigger contacts I actually really like. These are decent looking. They're well formed. They're not cheap China ones that are different lengths or anything. I think these are good to run on higher voltage batteries. You could probably run an 11.1 on these trigger contacts for a little while if you wanted to. I'm not saying the tuning and the rest of the gun can hold up to that, but the trigger contacts can for a bit without a MOSFET. Alright, testing with 0.2s on a 7.4 volt 1800 milliamp hour. I went ahead and wired it to Dean's as well. So it looks like on full auto it averaged about 11 rounds a second, just under that on a 7.4, and hitting about 335 or so. So after opening this gun up and checking out the internals and going over the externals, there's a lot of things I like, there's a couple of things I really dislike, and there's one thing that absolutely kills me. Let's start with the last thing. The hop-up just didn't work out of the box, and I'm really disappointed in that. Very, very true, this is a well under $200 gun. And of course there are price lemons out there. I have to hope this is a lemon. I'd love to check out some of the other Valken battle machines and see if this is true for those or not. If it is, that's not a good thing, but I'm pretty sure this is just a lemon that we got, and that I'm sure the hop-up's is fine in the rest of them. But I was able to fix the hop-up, put a regular arm and a Mad Bull nub in there, and it functions just fine, puts plenty of hop on the BB and gets pretty decent range. Aside from that, the things I dislike, obviously some of the internal things like the shimming was not good. After having re-shimmed it, the gun sounds significantly better. There's no whiny gear noise anymore. The rate of fire isn't that great, but let's be honest, it's a budget gun, and rate of fire is never that great. FPS is reasonable. The BB carries far enough to really get out there and do some work. Aside from that, the externals, I do like the feel. It's just the right rail length for me. I love this rail length on here. It's nice that it comes with flip-up sights, and I really like the stock on this thing. It's really unique, it's kind of cool looking, and it's functional. Aside from that, I mean, there's nothing super good or bad about the gun. It's very, for the most part, average gun. I'm glad that it's got some upgrade parts in it. I'm dissatisfied that the hop-up didn't work, and I think it could use some further tuning at the factory. But again, it's a pretty decent gun for the money you're paying for it. Of course, I've got to give this gun a grade. Out of 10, I'm going to give it a 6. There's a lot of things I like I said, a couple things I don't. And if you're a new player, Those little things that I dislike, like the hop up and the tuning, that might be something that really turns you off on the gun. But if you're someone that actually knows how to open one of these up and get those things corrected, it's really not a big deal, and the gun's going to run great for you. So 6 out of 10 on this. I have to recommend it more for the players that are going to actually open it up and take care of it. For new players, if they got this gun, they'd probably hate it, which sucks, because it's really geared toward new players. And like I said, I really want to check out a couple more of these and see if it's consistent throughout all those or not. If it is, then that's really not good. But we'll have to see. For the money, it's not bad at all. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm Prodigy from Kilo 23. This is the Valken Battle Machine, and it's definitely a budget gun. Thanks for watching, guys, and take care.